We got to temper our expectations because we are watching the Football Weekly, and we are realistic, ladies and gentlemen. We are absolutely realistic. So we do want to give you a little bit of our concerns. Will, I'm going to come to you first. It's a great move. We're excited, but he ain't really been a coach all that long. I mean, OC, in this position. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I think the concerns are the obvious ones. It's the fact that he has been interviewing for head coaching opportunities and he's been getting passed up. And I think there's absolutely anyone that is on the side of this is ridiculous that he had to take another offensive coordinator. I agree with them, but I also think he's had opportunities to win an interview and he hasn't, and he's gotten passed over, by folks who, he lost to Lovie Smith for the Texans.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
But did he lose that though? Did he lose because he got a championship and Lovey's unemployed?
Right. Yeah. So he didn't get a job. Lovey got a job over him, So it's like, it's also, I'm kind of looking around as like, well, there were some opportunities that you didn't get,
Right.
So I think the concerns that are obvious are obviously something we need to look into. But I think there's, I'm kind of looking at it hopefully where it's like this gives him a chance to almost, he's the assistant head coach, so he's getting the opportunity to run an entire side of the team to be determining who does he want in place, who does he want to have. Do you want to talk about the LaShawn McCoy stuff?
Yeah, those were my concern. It is, and I can relate. I've talked to you multiple times. When you are so in tuned with what you're doing, be it offense, be it the shows, building the whole brand or whatever, a lot of times people could confuse that with you kind of being rude or with you kind of, not being caring or considerate or something, when at the same time it's you focusing hard on what you see. You are locked in on the path, you're ready to go. So I don't know if you guys have known, I was talking to Will about this before, but not everybody has been having glowing reviews about Eric Bieniemy. Now, there have been some great guys like Adrian Peterson, had nothing but great things to say. Jamal Charles, he loved him when when they spent time together, when he coached them. Even a little known guy named Chanderick West.
I know who you're talking about, yeah.
Little unknown guy, kind of similar to McKinnon and Pacheco. Nobody really looks at this guy, but in the offense, working under him, really elevated his game so much so that he was almost, looked at for a Pro Bowl in that year. But then there's other people that may not have those same feelings. And, we talked about this, that, LaShawn Shady McCoy was very vocal about not liking the way Eric Bieniemy coached. And another guy that had the exact same feelings, Le'Veon Bell. They didn't like the way, he coached. And a lot of that was, he's on you. And not only in the game, but also in practice. You know what I mean? He's about you running every single rep. He's about you running the play. And if you're not getting it right, he wants to know what you're seeing. He's so dialed in that he's focused on, okay, I've seen it from this. What did you see in this? And if we're not on the same page talking about what we saw, get out of here. They one of the things they said is that he's thrown guys out of practice. With us, with a young team, hopefully that's great. Light a fire under them. I absolutely
focused.
But if you look at those two guys, that's Shady McCoy, who is highly touted as a very, very legit back, all pro, and then Le'Veon Bell, who had that same in his era when he was at his height, was in that same notoriety. And these guys who were bell cows, they are number one and done. They weren't feeling his coaching style. They weren't feeling the way he did things. And I can't speak directly to what they weren't feeling. Maybe it was him that he was just riding them too much, or maybe it was at that point in their career because both of them came to him late in their career. And you've been around the block. People have been telling you have all these accolades. Sometimes you want to come to practice in a golf cart and just chill on the side and let the other ones get the reps. You know what I mean? So we don't know exactly what it was. But yeah, that's a little bit of my concerns. Will, what are your thoughts, man?
I think LaShawn McCoy is correct in what he said, and I believe him in his concerns about Eric Bieniemy. I also believe that LaShawn McCoy was on in the last year of his career,
Mm-hmm.
or it was like you said at the very end with Le'Veon Bell. He probably was not the same running back that he was in Philadelphia, which was an All Pro. And so he maybe didn't have the same abilities, and so he did get coached a little harder, or maybe he didn't get as many liberties, throughout the week because he was no longer the superstar of the team, and that went away. So I believe him. I also believe him when he says that time that Eric Bieniemy was it was Andy Reid's team, and Eric Bieniemy was in the room but not talking. He's probably correct because Bieniemy spent 2 years as the running backs coach in Kansas City, then 3 years as the offensive coordinator. I would bet what you saw him as offensive coordinator in year one versus what you saw as offensive coordinator in 2022 looked a lot different. I would imagine when he was coming in as replacing Matt Nagy, Andy Reid was also going to be setting a tone to say, "This is what I want to see. This is how we're going to run this team." And that gets me excited. I'm okay with the fact he had to kind of, he got more responsibility as he went on, as Andy Reid got comfortable saying, "Yep, I'm going to let you take over. I'm going to let you come up with the Super Bowl adjustments in the second half, or I'm going to take your recommendations." So clearly things have changed since 2019. So I have no doubt that what LaShawn McCoy said was correct. But that doesn't mean that it still applies to 2023,
Right.
I was listening to a pod. Brad Childress, the head coach of the Vikings, was on it, and he said that they brought over Chester Taylor from the Ravens, and Chester showed up in like gym shorts on Wednesday, and Bieniemy said, "What are you doing? We're practicing," and he's like, "I'm the starting running back," and he was like, "Yes, you are. Get your pads on. Get out there." And he's like, "It's Wednesday and we're practicing and we're putting in the installs and I want you out there. This is," and he said, he goes, "I don't know what you did in Baltimore, but we're not going to do that here." So I think there's a little bit of accountability is never a bad thing. And like you said, we've got some young guys, some young talent. Let's teach them the right way. Let's, from the get-go. And I think, the concerns are real. I understand what McCoy was saying and all that, but I really feel like what overshadows it is who he's been learning from, a Hall of Fame coach. So my optimism's high that he's learned a trick or two in his time in Kansas City.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But now, being honest, like we are, that lends to the other thing that really concerns us is exactly what Shady was saying, is that it was Andy Reid's team, and it's no secret that Andy Reid was the one calling the plays. You know what I mean? Andy Reid was the one who had the control of that team. So it does beg the question, what are we really getting in here? Are we getting somebody that was just good for, management and he just helped out and, he got to put his 2 cents in, but everybody knew where their bread was buttered with, Andy Reid? You know what I mean? Like, is this going to be, and I wrote this in my notes, is this going to be a Josh McDaniel or Matt Patricia type deal where once they get away from, the source of all their, smarts and all their, strength, then all of a sudden they can't turn it around. They can't get it done elsewhere. You know what I mean? So that definitely definitely something I want to focus on because, you're super excited for this and everything, but we have problems in our own right. You know what I mean? So when you have a guy like this come in and he has all these accolades and everything like that, you wonder, is he going to bring that necessary change, or are we dealing with things that, is bigger than him?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it might be even head coach, DC, other members of the coaching staff that might need to go. So right. it does make you think. I'm wondering, okay, how good is he going to be without Andy Reid? And you've said it multiple times about, coaches that came from Reid, they can be good. They don't necessarily have the same success that he's had. Right. So let's see what that does. Do you have any other concerns about what you think?
Well, I mean, I was just kind of thinking about what you talked about, and you're absolutely right. And it's a valid point. I guess I would say it's no different though if you were to be promoting anybody. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I mean, how is it any different than D'Amico Ryans took the passing game coordinator of the 49ers with him? So now he's calling plays for the first time. You
Yeah.
know, Scott Turner came to Washington as the offensive coordinator. He's calling plays for the first time.
Yeah.
Kevin O'Connell, you know, got elevated when with under Jay Gruden, and then he got elevated when Gruden was fired, and he started calling plays, you know, for Bill Callahan. So like, it is a natural progression as well. There are other teams out there that are promoting people to do this. If Philly promotes their quarterbacks coach, who's lauded, great, you know, quarterbacks coach Brian Johnson's offense coordinator, he's going to be doing the same thing. You know,
Yeah.
so it's like we're not the only ones. Like it's valid that, well, this has been Andy Reid's team. It's how you've been doing it. Yes, you're right. But, you know, well, that was Kyle Shanahan's team. Was Bobby Slowick doing it? No, you know, as well. But, you know, are they exposed to the brain? Are they exposed to seeing the way they operate, or how this play sets up this play, or this is why we do things? And that's an absolutely yes. So, you know, yeah, this is why it's an exciting opportunity for him, and it's hard to say, but it's also a slight elevation opportunity for him because this is your offense, and you know how Ron Rivera is. He's a CEO type coach, so he lets Jack Del Rio do his thing on defense, and he let Scott Turner do his thing until he wasn't doing it right, and he had to step in the room. So he's just going to hand him the keys and say, "Okay, here's the offense, go." You know, so he does get that opportunity to put his stamp down.
I'm excited to see that. What's going on,
Nathan's
Nathan?
joining us. But you missed all what we said, buddy.
So that concerns me a little bit. But like you said, I mean, this could be the opportunity, and like you said, this is literally like fresh clay. Like we have almost a whole new thing. We got a couple guys that are a couple year vets, but they're not. Nobody's 5 to 10 year veterans that we really have. Like he really has the opportunity to kind of mold these guys together. So hopefully we get it. Hopefully, you know, everything that we're concerned about is out the window, and our excitement is the truth about the matter.
Thanks for watching. If you like that clip, be sure to check out the other great content from the Let's Talk Football community. And as always, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when more great content like this becomes available.